Well, good day, all. This is George McClellan at FetcherNews.com, North Georgia's only live online internet talk show. If you want to talk to me, you can reach me at 706-889-9700. Well, we just finished. In fact, I watched it on my cell phone, actually, the Katie Sassine show. And I'm very, very impressed with that young lady. She's very smart. She's talented. She has experience. Any child, any student in college has got to get experience. A lot of them get it by joining the military. But this girl has gone to Spain. She's learned the Spanish language, so she can speak Spanish very well, I guess. And it takes people like her and me who have been around the world more than once to understand what we're talking about, so you know you're not talking to a plunker out here. Somebody who just talk the talk, walk, but can't walk the walk, and that's what it's all about. Anyway, we got a lot. The news changes every day. Everything changes, and there's always something new. I don't necessarily want to look back anymore, but you still have to dredge up some of this stuff because it still comes up in the news. I want to look ahead. I want to look forward. I think Donald Trump and the GOP, if the GOP plays it right, are going to make changes that is absolutely phenomenal. I'd like to call attention to a new book, a political book that's out by Hugh Hewitt called The Fourth Way. I've ordered my copy. And it's a battle plan to how to make America conservative and keep it that way. And if you order this book, you can get it off of Amazon. You can go to Hugh Hewitt and get it. But if you can order this book, read it. It gives you ammunition to write to your congressmen and your senators and tell them this is what you want done. Do it this way, not that way. Here's the danger. The last time we had it all, President, Congress, and the Senate, the House and the Senate, last time we had it all, the Democrats still set the narrative. They set the narrative because it was elite big government who was running everything, and the Republicans wanted to be part of that show. They could not get away from it. Now it's entirely different. Trump is setting the narrative. He does it every other minute with his tweets. And speaking of tweets, I must apologize. I made a mistake yesterday, rare, very rare, but I thought that the Congress was assembling yesterday, and it's today the new Congress will be sworn in. So we still have an hour and a half before the new Congress is sworn in, and there we are. I apologize for that. It's today at noon. We'll see if Obama makes the interim appointment of a Supreme Court Justice, that Garland fellow. I don't think he'll do it. One, I don't think Garland will want it anymore because, one, he will lose his seat, his current judgeship in Washington, D.C., and that will be filled by a Trump man. He will go to the Supreme Court until that term ends, and then the Congress ain't going to, the Senate won't confirm him anyway. He will be out of a job in a year. Nobody wants that. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I think that's a pig in a poke. Well, anyway, we mentioned Obama. Obama's in a new fight to secure his legacy. Now, what we're seeing, and I'll talk it at the end in my thoughts, what we're seeing is a miscalculation, like throwing handfuls of nuts and bolts into machinery, is that they absolutely did not expect Hillary to lose. It was a shock to the system. Hillary lost, and they don't know what to do about it. So we have the old Republicans who go by who went by the Democrat narrative. When I say Democrat narrative, it was the progressive narrative. When I say progressive narrative, I mean it's the communist narrative, and that's what's been introduced for the last 50 years into American politics. And people got wealthy on it, made money, and so you follow the money. They don't want to get out of that. But if the Republicans lost their way the last time and accomplished nothing, they followed the Democrat narrative. Now is the time. They can make up for it, but they got to hit hard. You got to keep running and keep banging away. And remember, this time, the Democrats have no tools. They have no tools. Harry Reid got rid of the filibuster rule, so they don't have to listen to these guys whine and cry in the confirmation hearings. They can make their point, ask a question or two, gavel them down. Next question, your time is up. Next guy, and then by the end of the day, that appointee should have his job confirmed. Simple as that. Because we got the really important ones coming up, and that'll be the Supreme Court appointments. Those are really important people. Really important people. Now, here was the one that came up, and it was interesting. President-elect Donald Trump's spokesman, Sean Spicer. Sean Spicer is one of the people that does not have to be confirmed by Congress. He is in the communications business, like, well, maybe not like Josh Earnest. I don't know how that man sleeps at night with all the lies he tells. But anyway, Sean Spicer was asked Sunday whether Hillary Clinton was going to be punished. Now there's an open question. Punished for what? Here they're trying to say for inappropriately having influence on the election. The very thing she's blaming the Russians for. Well, what are we talking about? The fact is that everyone wants to make Donald Trump admit to certain things, including Hillary Clinton. When are we going to start talking about the other side of this coin? And this is the argument coming up, which is, what did Hillary Clinton do to influence the election? Well, we already know that Donna Brazile, an employee of CNN, the Clinton News Network, already gave her the questions that were going to be asked at the debates. Now, was that illegal? Donna Brazile got fired by CNN for it. They couldn't not fire her, but was that illegal? Because it did not sway the outcome of the election, but it was a dirty trick. And she didn't sway the outcome of the election any more than the Russians did, and she had the answers to, already knew what the questions were going to be and was able to frame her answers because she already knew what the question was. What are we doing to make sure people are not getting the debate questions ahead of time? Well, that's an internal thing. That will be CNN, and either they share those with everybody or they share them with nobody. That watchdog groups, they will not be government funded. They will be party funded. We'll have to keep a check on that. Now, Spicer, when that question was asked of him, was referring to the revelations that came out on the hacks of the intelligent hacks, saying that Russia influenced our election. Well, they didn't influence our election because they didn't hack our election. A lot of our states are, each machine is not connected up to an internet. It's connected up to a device which is fed into an internet device, or it's read on a piece of paper. Not a big. Certainly, no hacker is going to get to a paper ballot. So the Democratic National Committee, however, was hacked. It was hacked, and Donna Brazile, the new chairwoman after what's her name, from Florida, that gal was fired because somebody has to take a fall when you lose, and they stuffed Bernie Sanders, and they knew it. It was all in the email, so that she had to take the fall for that. But Donna Brazile did use her position as a commentator for CNN to provide the Clinton campaign with a heads up the questions that she would be asked. They knew it. Spicer said the incoming administration had yet to be convinced that Russia was behind the hacking of the email accounts of the DNC and Clinton campaign manager John Podesta. There's all kinds of cover stories over that already. Julian Assange, in his interview with Fox News' Bret Baier, already said the Russians didn't do it. He did it. WikiLeaks did it. Podesta left his cell phone somewhere. It was full of classified data, or he opened an email to him that had to do with erectile dysfunction, and as a result, boom, the hackers are right in. You got to avoid those kind of things, gentlemen. You don't want to go there. And they cleared out everything he had, all his communications, which led them, by the way, to the laptop computer of Abedin, what was Hillary's closest confidant? Anyway, the New York pedophile and sexual predator, Huma Abedin's husband, Jewish guy, by the way. Boy, politics work in strange ways. So anyway, that's why that investigation was reopened before the election, just a couple of days before the election, when FBI Director Comey threw that bombshell out. And that may or may not have altered the election process. I don't think it did, but it certainly didn't help Hillary Clinton. In another step of turning back progressivism, on New Year's Eve, a Texas federal judge issued an injunction against what has become known as the transgender mandate. We must treat just 1/10 of 1% of the population with special rules and laws and regulations so they don't feel bad. The injunction prevented enforcement of a new federal regulation issued the past spring, whose consequences have been hotly debated. In fact, there are so many lawsuits against it already. The Obama administration will be defending, or someone will be defending these lawsuits for a long time. But this judge ended that. He said, no, you're not going to do it. There is a good guy side, it's called the Becket Fund. They litigate on behalf of religious health care providers and the networks that healthcare providers use. They have argued ever since the rule was promulgated that it will require many doctors to perform procedures related to gender reassignment, whatever that means, even on children, and even where it violates their medical judgment, let alone their religious beliefs about sex changes. It's just another arm of Christianity under attack. And if you're a Christian, you've got to resist it. Don't be afraid to pick up your pen, write your congressman, write your senators, and tell them what you think. The state plaintiffs in the case, who had sued alongside the providers, argued, among other things, that their state law requiring doctors to act on their behalf and on their best medical judgment would be overturned by that new federal law. And I'll get into it. They also argued that the rule would require them to provide state employees with insurance plans that cover sex reassignment procedures. Well, the Obama administration has maintained throughout that this rule merely forbids discrimination against transgendered individuals in health care. And that's all. That's all. But that's not the case. If this were actually a fair statement, then who would possibly be against it? After all, you don't have to buy into normalization of gender dystopia to find it completely immoral to deny treatment to a transgender person who walks into a hospital with an injury or a disease. But as usual, in politics, the popular representation is not always the same as the case presented in court, and that's where you find the real facts when you look at the court case. The rule, as the Department of Health and Human Services acknowledged in its own 66-page response to that complaint, would have subjected deniers of gender reassignment treatment of coverage to administrative and court challenges. It's like deniers of global warming. They want these people want deniers of global warming to be put into jail for not following the orthodoxy of the criminal left. And that's all coming to an end. That is political correctness run amok, and it's coming to an end. The judge was Reed O'Connor, and he issued the preliminary injunction based on the belief that plaintiffs are likely to win the case at trial, and said that a failure to enjoin the new rule would cause them irreparable harm. Smart judge with very good cognitive thinking skills, highly developed. His ruling was 46 pages. It goes over a lot of complicated issues related to the administrative rulemaking process, but the most important issue was represented In this passage from the Becket Fund's original complaint, and the citations, I didn't bother to write them down. The Department of Homeland Security, not Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, I beg your pardon, HHS, attempts to impose dramatic new requirements by redefining a single word used in the Affordable Care Act. Now, we're on the same subject, just a different page. The Affordable Care Act, it's actually the Unaffordable No Care Act, aka Obamacare, and that word is sex. For decades, across multitude federal statutes, Congress has consistently used the term sex to refer to an individual's status as male or female, as determined by a person's biological sex at birth. Either you is or you isn't, one or the other. But in the liberal regulation rewrite, HHS redefines sex to include an individual's internal sense of gender, which may be male, female, neither, or a combination of male and female, and they don't even bother to put it in there occasionally, and which may be different from an individual's sex assigned at birth. Assigned at birth because the doctor and the nurse standing there filling out the documents can see. Thus, with a single stroke of the pen, Health and Human Services created a massive new liability for thousands of healthcare professionals and lawyers, mind you, and lawyers, unless they cast aside their medical judgment and perform controversial, even harmful medical transition procedures. HHS has done this despite the fact that Congress has repeatedly rejected similar attempts to redefine sex through legislation, and federal courts have repeatedly rejected attempts to accomplish the same goal through litigation. Do these people never learn? Well, yes, they learn. They just never tire. They never tire. They'll keep banging away until they get it. And that's the danger that our Republicans face. We got this lot in Congress now threatening in the Senate. Chucky Schumer's followers threatening to seriously challenge all 10. There's 10 of Trump's picks. They're not going to challenge the generals. Not one of the 3 generals are being challenged. I wonder why. They're not going to get. But anyway, Tillerson, the appointee for the Secretary of State, particularly they're after him. They want to know what his Russian connections are. Well, he's a worldwide businessman, chief executive officer of Exxon Oil. What do you think his business relations are? And he gets his salary from the company and his stocks and that he owns with Exxon. So yeah, he's a wealthy man. Trump's a wealthy man. So they're going to they want to know whether this guy's been a spy for the Russians for all these many years. It's not going to go anywhere. And the chairman of the committee doing the inquiry will be a Republican, and he's got, you've got so many minutes to make your statement, ask your questions, and then it's over. He can gavel the guy down, say, all right, next interviewer, and move on. And by the end of the day, each one of those people should have passed their interrogation. Because they can say, well, I don't think this guy's very good, and I certainly deny him the right to be Secretary of State. And the chairman of the committee says, well, we disagree, you're wrong, I'm right, I'm in the chair, you lost, we won, so we will call the shots. Nothing wrong with that. This was a regulatory sleight of hand, and another word for sleight of hand is propaganda. That could have been meaningful well beyond the context of this one rule, but which even here might have had severe consequences for a lot of medical providers. Doctors will just quit. I already know, right, in this community, 1 or 2 doctors who they were nearing retirement, I'll give them that, but faced with the onerous paperwork they had to fill out just to do their job, they said, hell with it, I'm retiring, and they got out. Congress, through multiple federal laws over the last 45 years, have defined sex based on biological science. Either you is or either you isn't. By using Title IX's definition for sex discrimination and applying it to the concept of gender identity, Health and Human Services tried to slip a more subjective, modern gender definition on sex into the law without Congress's input. You got to watch these rascals all the time. They're really out to get you. And I think it's about time that we had a word from our sponsor, that you're just lusting after some pizza. Let's go get them. See you on the other side.
Looking for in a vehicle, start your search at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. We've simplified the process so you can move on to what matters, your family.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
If you've been waiting for the biggest sale of the season, this is it. 20% off MSRP, plus huge bonus discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now get a Silverado Crew LT from just $29,900 or a loaded new Malibu LT from just $19,900. Every 2016 Chevy up to 20% off MSRP, plus Days holiday bonus discounts. Find new roads at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Merry Christmas.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Well, a federal judge, as I mentioned in the last section, has killed the transgender rule dead in its tracks. The lawsuits are already piling up against it. That would have been in court for years and years. But now I'm going to talk about two articles that are related from different sources. The AP has written, Republicans primed for push to dismantle Obama's policies. A broad brush statement, but gives us hope. Members of the 115th Congress will be sworn in at noon today, setting off an aggressive campaign by Republicans who control the House and Senate to dismantle 8 years of President Barack Obama's Democratic policies. The first and biggest target is Obama's signature health care law, which Republicans have long sought to gut and blamed as a primary cause for lackluster economic recovery. Over here in the Washington Examiner, Obama's new fight to secure his legacy, the DNC race. You know, the Democrats have got more problems now than you can shake a stick at. Obama's implicit support of Labor Secretary Tom Perez in the race for DNC chairman has put him at odds with the progressives, establishment leaders who back Representative Keith Ellison. Now, Perez is Hispanic, not a problem. Ellison is black, not a problem. But Perez is a Christian, and Ellison's a Muslim. If the Democrat Party has a Muslim chairman, they're going to be in the wilderness forever, absolutely forever. It just will not work. Obama has signaled his intention to remain deeply involved in Democratic parties until after he leaves office. Well, he signaled his intention. He's going to be involved even after he leaves office. He's rented a home in Washington, D.C., an upscale Washington, D.C. suburb, allegedly to allow his daughters to finish out their high school. But this man is so enamored with what he thinks he is the greatest leader, thinker, scholar ever to step on the national stage and into the light, that it's inconceivable that people would reject him. It's inconceivable to him that he is rejected. In my article yesterday, I read the essay. I had written that our institutions were filled with people like him who thought they were Napoleon or Genghis Khan. Anyway, when most presidents have focused on philanthropy after leaving their office, their memoirs or advocacy after leaving the White House, Obama has signaled his intention to remain deeply involved in Democratic politics. Now, that may include guiding Perez to the helm of the party, and Obama ignored the party basically during his 8 years, which is why it fell to pieces. There was no guidance from him, no guidance from his team. Everything was focused on Obama, the individual, not on Obama, the party leader. Those are very significant, very important things. And if you're not a leader, you can call yourself a leader because you won, but if you can't lead, nobody's following, then you have no party at all. It is unusual, but it doesn't mean that it's unnecessary. Barack Obama has always been fixated on his legacy. We know that. He's a narcissist. Barack Obama has always been about being a historic figure. That will only happen if some jihadist should take him out. He might be a historic figure then, but he's a perfect example of a poor example of leadership. Nancy Pelosi, do you remember the late unlamented Nancy Pelosi? Chucky Schumer and other progressive senators, Elizabeth Warren, and even Bernie Sanders, all lined up quickly behind who? The Muslim, Ellison, in the race for DNC chair. Support for Ellison, a left-wing Minnesotan who became the first Muslim elected to Congress, and that was in 2006, is viewed by many Democrats as support for the party's recent focus on social issues in identity politics. Yes, it is. Black Lives Matter is the shock troops, or can become the shock troops of progressive liberalism's attempt to force their own issues down people's throat. Tom Perez, meanwhile, has pitched himself as someone who can marry progressivism with pragmatism. Progressivism, communism with pragmatism. Well, that's like being a compassionate conservative. Just the opposite of being a compassionate conservative. In the same style as the party's still popular president. Now they keep telling us that Obama is popular. And they take polls, the press does, their own polls, and they just talk to Democrats, and probably in the black neighborhoods, to get a feeling of how popular Obama still is. They get a high count. He's out of office. And he could not bring his party or Hillary Clinton to the fore. He lost it. That's how popular he is. He lost it. A fellow named Brad Bannon, a Democrat strategist, said Obama may sense a threat to his policy legacy in the effort to steer the party towards someone such as Ellison. I think he is a centrist Democrat, and he may very well worry that the Warren-Sanders wing of the party has too much influence. So Democrats are worried about being ultra-communist or just fascist. Muslims are fascists. They're fascists. As many times as we've mentioned the difference between communism and fascism, there's just one layer that makes a difference. Otherwise, you put them together to make a good ham sandwich. You look at Bernie Sanders' campaign, he didn't really like Obamacare. He kept pushing for a much more aggressive Medicare for all health program as opposed to Obamacare. According to Bannon, I think that there may be some concern about the policy implications of the party going on in the Ellison direction rather than the Perez direction. There may be some concern about the policy implications. You cannot have a Muslim trying to support the Constitution of the United States. They can't. It's forbidden. It's forbidden. It's forbidden in the Quran. In the wake of Hillary's defeat, they call it an upset defeat, some Democrats have pointed fingers at her narrow pursuit of identity groups, a strategy, they say, that left her unappealing to the millions of middle-income white Americans who put Trump over the edge. Well, you watch for the Democrats to come after middle American whites. They're going to do it right here in the state of Georgia. They had an idea that Georgia was up for grabs. No possible. The rest of us knew could not be. They have nothing to offer white class middle America or middle America of any class. Their programs did not work. They did not make jobs. They taxed people to death, and they transferred money from people who make it to those who don't make it or don't even try to earn it. But they're coming after us in the next year. You watch, they'll be fielding Democrat candidates for Congress, they're coming after us. And we've got to, we cannot drop our guard. Those in the House up there, they may drop their guard. We've got to watch them like hawks and not let them do it. But we, the Tea Party's out here, the independent Republicans, we cannot drop our guard. Americans put Trump, because many down ballot candidates echoed Hillary's campaign tone, Democrats lost many of what they thought were winnable House seats and Senate seats. Further Democratic losses could put Obama's signature achievement in serious jeopardy, and that's beyond the Affordable Care Act, climate change. The regulations around climate change, I think that's all going to go down the tubes. If Obama sees his legacy in policy, not politics, nothing that Obama focuses on preserving his policy legacy could be the force driving him to intervene in the DNC battle. I don't know that much about Perez. He is Obama's Secretary of Labor. We never hear about him, so has he done anything, good or bad? I'm sure we'll hear it during these confirmation hearings. So anyway, it's pretty clear, it's a pretty clear signal that Obama's not just going to sit around and watch the GOP dismantling his legacy. Obama's advice for Democrats since November the 8th has been remarkably blunt. He campaigned vigorously for the vanquished nominee. He has since chastised her for failing to show up in the rural communities that she ceded to Trump. The president encouraged latte-sipping liberals in coastal cities to attend more fish fries and attempt to connect with voters who might naturally view Democrat policies with skepticism. Well, it might be a good idea if your policies were pro-American and provided jobs and money without taking jobs and money. The thing is, what Obama's saying about them is what everybody was saying about him, which is Barack Obama needs to appeal to the ordinary American. He's actually reflecting back a criticism that was leveled at him. Obama's tacit support of Perez, his labor secretary, can be seen as an overture to the white working class voters who Clinton failed to sway. Now, Ellison, on the other hand, accused Republicans of trying to suppress minority votes in the wake of Trump's victory and has frequently used the kind of racially charged language that Clinton deployed unsuccessfully against Trump during the presidential race. How do you suppress minority votes? Well, the one big thing was voter ID. Everybody, no matter who you are, if you're old enough to vote, you're old enough to have a driver's license. And you cannot drive a car without a driver's license. So what's the voter ID thing? And that's what we demand, to try to eliminate fraud, multiple votings, now that type of thing. So they have a tough road to hoe here, I think. Obama's blueprint for the Democratic revival appears to involve lurching further to the left rather than scaling back rhetoric on controversial social issues such as transgender bathrooms to give them broader appeal. Beyond the debate over the party's messaging, Democrats are coming to grips with another hurdle on their horizon, a lack of rising talent. And I've said that after that November the 8th debacle, we saw that the pool was like a sheen of glass on a parking lot asphalt, about this thick. They have no depth from which to draw candidates. It's going to take them at least 5 years to even find somebody who's willing to go out there and face the fire, and it's going to take them 10 to develop them and make them leaders. You cannot just, you've got to have some experience. Why we voted for a community organizer over people with experience just because of the color of his skin is still a shock to me, and I can't understand that. But it was a detente that Americans had with the past, and now we've passed that Rubicon. We've passed that problem. It's over. They have an incredibly thin bench. They have record low numbers of governors. The GOP has 33. And the U.S. senators, low numbers. And low numbers of representatives. Indeed, Democratic control of governors' mansions and state legislatures hit historic lows in November, trimming further the field of elected officials who could climb up the political ladder to become congressmen, senators, or presidential candidates. Obama already has positioned himself to address the talent gap in his post-presidency. He recently told a national public radio that he hopes to offer aspiring Democrats whatever resources, credibility, and spotlight that he can to help them rise up. In other words, he wants to go out and campaign for them. Obama said, "What I am interested in is just developing a whole new generation of talent." We all want that, don't we? That's why we have county commissioners and state representatives and state senators all wanting to get up, get a little bit of experience. Remember, all politics is local. All politics is local. When he leaves Washington on Marine One after Trump's inauguration, Obama will leave his party leaderless for the first time in 10 years. It's part of why the race for DNC chairman has evolved into such a highly symbolic battle for the heart and soul of the party. It's also part of why Obama may feel compelled to participate in rebuilding the Democratic ranks. So he's got a motive there. If that's his excuse, he should stick to it. Remember, those Democratic ranks were depleted on his watch, his 8 years. The Democrats are in a bit of a generational trough right now. They don't have Katie Sassine sitting out here. That girl, watch that girl. The party's old guard may share blame for some of the unforced errors that caused Democrats. All three branches of government this cycle. It's really a bunch of baby boomers trying to hold on to power after the day has passed. Now put up that picture of Paul Ryan, if you please. Ryan and Trump and Pence sitting together at table. If you would do that, I'd appreciate that, sir. Now this is a picture of the three GOP leaders sitting there smiling at one another. What's missing from that picture?
There you go.
What's missing from that picture? Mitch McConnell is missing from that picture. I don't know if he had gone to the bathroom or was out to lunch, but when the President of the United States and the leader of the House and the Vice President-elect of the United States convene a meeting, Mitch McConnell damn well better be there. Or he's either going to miss out on something, or he thinks he's going to call the shots, and I don't believe so. I believe Trump is going to push so very hard that it's just unbelievable. The headline that went with that picture, Republicans take control, what the GOP and Trump are planning for 2017. Well, and 18, and 19, and 20. Newly energized, and we're energized. The Tea Party is ecstatic. In my county, the Tea Party is ecstatic. And one of the problems with the Tea Party, though, is they spent their energy with McCain and they spent their energy with Romney. And they saw no results for it. The Tea Parties need to re-energize themselves now and start bringing voters back in to support them, simply because we cannot allow the old elite GOPs to set the narrative. The Democrats have lost it, and we're going to be setting the narrative now, but who's going to do it, Trump or other people? And I thought, is that what, another break? Well, I'm being signaled that it's time to earn some money. Okay. See you on the other side. We'll finish this up.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Better days ahead.
If you've been waiting for the biggest sale of the season, this is it. 20% off MSRP, plus huge bonus discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now get a Silverado Crew LT from just $29,900 or a loaded new Malibu LT from just $19,900. Every 2016 Chevy up to 20% off MSRP, plus Days holiday bonus discounts. Find new roads at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Merry Christmas.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back to the third and final segment of Georgia's Hour on FetcherNews.com, North Georgia's only live internet TV talk show. And I had finished, early in the program, I had talked about the flurry of activity and why Obama was doing everything he's doing now, and it was because they did not expect Hillary Clinton to lose the election. I had written this essay last week and intended to use it last week in a more appropriate time, but it languishes here and it should be read because it reflects what I'm talking about. I call it pettiness on parade. I mentioned previously in a previous essay that there was a pandemic of stupidity going on. Nothing has occurred to change that assessment. Indeed, Obama, the Grand Vizier of pettiness, has added to the luster of his incompetence by his last-minute dumping on Israel, for example. How did he do that? He directed the UN ambassador to abstain from vetoing the Security Council vote that condemned Israel's settlements on its own land as violations of international law. Obama has again shown us the depth of his pettiness that lurks deep in his soul. This man is consumed by pettiness. He has less than 1 month, he's got less than 3 weeks to complete his destruction of everything America has stood for, like a child knocking down his blocks because his mother called him in for his nap. Obama is knocking down every vestige of America's culture of decency, honor, and trustworthiness. Obama truly believes he is righteously humiliating America in the world's eyes when it is clear he leads where not many others are willing to follow. The bipartisan congressional condemnation of Obama's anti-Israeli act, probably not his final one, falls on his administration's ear like water off a duck's back. He ignores it. Other terms come to mind to describe Obama's dying gasps in power. Cowardly and disgraceful immediately suggest themselves, as does foolish, stupid, prejudiced, anti-Semitic, feckless, and reckless. The term shameful, like the other adjectives, will probably not apply because this deluded character, who is America's chief executive, mind you, possesses none of those true American characteristics. Shame is not in his vocabulary, indeed is not even in the liberal playbook, except as a tool or a tactic to use against their opponents. Senate Majority Member Mitch McConnell called Obama's decision to proceed against Israel as a failure of leadership and judgment. I respectfully disagree with the esteemed majority leader because it was no failure. It was a deliberate act of foreign policy sabotage. It is repairable by the new incoming president, Donald Trump, who said, "Things will be different after January the 20th. I can hardly wait." What Obama hadn't calculated on, well, perhaps he did, as I think on it, is how the political fallout will adversely affect the United Nations and America's role in it. I have long believed that the UN had been quietly suborned by the enemies of democracy, and that Western countries were fighting a losing battle to support what the UN was originally created to do, provide a platform for discussions between nations without using gunfire. I now feel free to suggest that not only should America pull completely out of the United Nations, but encourage other democratic powers like Great Britain and its Commonwealth countries, Australia, Canada, other countries plus Israel, Japan, South Korea, and perhaps even India, and anyone else so inclined to withdraw with us from the UN and form a separate, totally and completely democratic union of Western nations. The European Union's love affair with Islam is causing another issue as stupid and petty as is the actions that Obama believes is necessary to further humiliate America. And that's the forcible introduction of Islamic creatures into Europe and America. It is going to result in conflict. Obama wants it, but it's not going to happen on his watch. It ranks, to me, as the height of madness and the extreme example of presidential pettiness. What has Obama's pettiness brought us? Well, Donald Trump, for one, the near destruction of the Democratic Party, the loss of multiple state houses and governorships, the loss of his voters, and unquestionably the loss of his legacy. He is in a raft, so to speak, adrift on an angry sea of disillusioned Americans. His legacy is in tatters. His reputation for pettiness is assured. Basically, Obama is a loser. And remember, freedom is the goal. The Constitution is the way. One or 2 points in my remaining couple of minutes. Everybody's talking about, I'm talking about Obama. Let me go there. There's a little editorial that should be shared. Obama is a failure. And this comes out of the Washington Examiner. As a candidate, Obama had appeal that transcended ideology and reached far past his party's base. He won over people across the spectrum, promising to fix some of the country's dysfunctions, partisan gridlock and warfare, special interest domination of policymaking, racial strife, and perpetual war. In the face of war, Obama told the crowd gathered in Springfield for his presidential campaign launch in 2007, "You better believe there can be peace. In the face of despair, you believe there can be hope. In the face of politics that's shut you out, that's told to you to settle, that's divided us for too long, you believe we can be one people." And then he immediately goes about not doing it. The speech is a good benchmark against which to assure Obama's tenure. When he returned to Springfield last year, he admitted to one failure. He said, "One of my few regrets is my inability to reduce the polarization and the meanness in our politics." Well, he never listens to anybody. I don't know why he has an advisor staff. He tells them what to say, they say it. He listens to no one. Obama isn't solely to blame. Maybe I'm wrong. He might listen to Valerie Jarrett. She could be the ear. She could be the noise behind him. Well, anyway, we're coming to an end of a Democratic decade, 5 decades. It's coming to an end. I think that we have to rise up as people and keep our politicians honest and make them and get that money out of Congress. Those people should not go up there and come out wealthy. They should not do it. They can go in there wealthy. I don't care. I love my Senator Perdue. I think he earned everything he's got, and he wanted to make things right, and he keeps telling us he's doing it, and we're seeing that he is doing it. He's got a very high voter rate. So anyway, I'm at the end of my hour. Brian's going to come back, and we're going to watch the vote, the transfer of power from the old Congress, the 114th Congress, to the 115th Congress. I thank you for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow, Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning. So we'll see you there. Oh, we might have snow this weekend too, so y'all be careful. Bye.